I'm going to read you a quote, and then you have to guess if Trump or Biden said it.
Sure.
Okay. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. Who do you think said that, Trump or Biden?
Unless you have a what kind of accent?
A slight Indian accent.
Trump.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
The next one is, poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Oh, wow.
Which one of them said that, you think?
Trump.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it.
Would you be surprised if I told you that both of those Biden said?
Very surprised. But prayerfully, he turned a new leaf, and he's a different person today.
Did you hear the quote that he said more recently during an interview where he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Quote, you ain't black?
What? No. Where was that interview aired?
I believe it was The Breakfast Club. I think so.
We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see
Take a look at my record, man.
Do you have any thoughts about that?
It's really unfortunate if that is factual and he did say that. Very unfortunate, and I'm at a loss for words. I've never heard those type of negative comments coming from him or his administration. I didn't know that he would even ever be capable of having those views.
Why do you think maybe you haven't heard of those comments coming from him?
Well, everybody deserves a second chance, and who people may have been 20 years ago, they may not be today. 15, even who people were last week, they may not be today. As an educator, I just believe in giving second and even third chances. So I'm just going to assume that that's possibly why it's not in the media.
We're going to read a quote, and then you have to guess if Trump or Biden said it.
Oh, jeez.
Poor kids are just as bright and talented as white kids. Trump. Who do you think said that?
Trump. He's an idiot. He says these things.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. Trump or Biden?
Trump.
Trump or Biden?
I'm going to go with Trump. Yeah, Trump.
Trump.
Trump. That would be Trump.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Why do you think Trump said those things?
I just think that's something Trump would say.
Would you be surprised to hear that Biden said both of those?
I would be.
What would you think if I told you that Biden actually said both of those things?
I'd be surprised. He did?
He did.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
What's your reaction to that?
I'm shocked.
Poor kids just as bright as white kids. That is another Biden quote.
He's a different generation, and we're a different generation than you. So you have to understand where people and how they grew up and what was socially acceptable at the time.
Why do you think maybe you haven't heard of these quotes, these shocking Biden quotes?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I'm stumped.